Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Belinda here from Visualized NZ, and this is my first video that I'm recording after my holiday. So welcome back to me too, although you won't have noticed I was absent because I had videos that kept up all the way through. So we're back, it's Monday, it's time for another Deal It Up challenge, and let's do some card pulls. So while I shuffle, if you are aware of what New Zealand has been going through over this week while I was away on holiday, with the weather of Cyclone Gabrielle and things, just let you know I'm perfectly fine. I live in the South Island and the worst damage was in the North Island. Just heartbreaking, so many families affected, so a number of lives lost. Not huge numbers compared to like the earthquake in Turkey or anything, but like still huge, and terrible for those families, and so much property damage, places that probably will never be built on again. It's really heartbreaking. And down here we had lots and lots of rain, and windy, but just, yeah, nothing like the damage in the North Island. So I am perfectly fine, our house is fine. And I just wanted to update you to let you know, in case you had heard of everything that was going on, that I'm all good. Okay, so our first item is a stencil, our first prompt. So hopefully to my fellow New Zealanders out there who are watching, I hope you've come through okay, that you haven't lost anybody or anything. And if you do, then my heart goes out to you. And do reach out and say hi, and if you feel like chatting or venting or anything, then please know that I'm here and you're welcome to message me or get in touch. If you've lost craft supplies, then get in touch and I'll send you a little mail out once you know where you're going to be staying, to bring a little of that cheer, because without craft life is pretty dull, in my opinion. So if you're one of those unfortunate people who've lost their homes and you need some craft supplies, do get in touch. Please do so. Okay, so today, back to business. We'll leave all the sad stuff aside and do focus on happy. So we are making a tip-in in a vintage or some sort of vintage style or vintage aspect to it, and we're using stencils. So straight away I know I'll be using my Vintage Photo Distress ink. Now you don't need Distress ink or Vintage Photo. You can use any brown ink, or you can use other ways to give the vintage look. Coffee dyeing, tea dyeing. Sorry, hopefully that's not too bright for you guys. The sun's just come out and come in a bit brighter. There's lots of ways you can do vintage, so if you haven't got the Distress ink, don't panic. Okay, a tip in. So we need something that's going to tip onto our page, into our journals. And I'm just busy thinking what I want to use. So while I think about that, maybe I'll grab a stencil. And do I want a handmade stencil? Do I want... Actually, I've got a... get my words out. Gosh, if I'm all over the place, please just know that it's first time back from holidays. I'm a bit spacey, kind of a bit tired. We only arrived back this morning, well, at lunchtime. So I'm kind of not all together with it. So yeah, just bear with me. I'm thinking I've got this sort of steampunky one, but it can be quite nice vintage. I loaned it to someone and they use spray paint, so that's why it's a bit black. So that potentially, and potentially this text stencil are ones that I might use, or even this one, this French one down the bottom would be quite nice. So that will be my stencils, I think. Sorry, I'm still stuck with what I'm going to do with tip-in. Okay, I think I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to make a tip in from a bit of paper, brown paper. So I'm going to grab out a piece of this. I would use the cover, but I want the cover to remain in to protect the first sheet. So I'll use that at some point. Or it will fall off and then I'll use it. Sorry, my nose just decided it's going to run a little bit. Excuse me. Right, so this will form my tip in, so I need to cut that down to size. So the height of it's about right, but I still might take a little bit off. Just grab my ruler. And I think I might make it sort of a full page length minus just a little bit. I prefer to be minus just a little bit on my tip-ins if I'm doing a full page one. Don't ask me why, I just do. So I'm just going with that width because, you know, because then I can be assured it's going to fit on most pages in my journal. So if it's a narrow page, it's going to fit. And I'm going to take off about that much. So about ½ an inch or so. No need to measure, just do what you feel, you know, it's all good. So that's going to be my tip-in base. So that's going to tip into my journal, which I should grab out, shouldn't I? As I said, I'm all over the place. So, journal. So blank page, imagine this page. I've got heaps of journaling to catch up on from my holiday because I couldn't print my photos out and I didn't want to journal without my photos. So I've got the pages all numbered with the dates, get my words out, and that's as far as I've done. So that's a tip in, it tips in, and you could tip it from the top, you could tip it from the bottom, you could have it in the middle. So you can place it wherever you like. I'm thinking I will plan on a side. So I need to leave space down the side for washi tape to tip it in. Or you could hinge it with a strip of paper or something as well, as another way of doing it. So this is going to be my base. Because it's brown, I don't need to back it with writing paper. It will be writable on anyway. And I am going to start with some ink, and I'm going to start, believe it or not, with just going around the edges. I'm going to leave the rougher side to be the side that sticks out, and so, gosh, completely, it's like I haven't done this for years, not just a week. Isn't it weird? So I'm going to ink the rough side where I tore it with the ruler, because this side is going to be covered with washi tape when I hinge it into my, tip it into my journal. And I made sure I took lots of photos and grabbed business cards and things when I was out and about, so I've got plenty of stuff to put into my journal, which is super happy. Okay, and for some reason I'm thinking that it's going to go this way and not this way. So I don't know, hopefully it works out that way. Right, I need a piece of paper underneath so I don't stencil on my mat, and do I want to start with some text background. Let's start with some text just as a nice sort of breaking in start. I'm just going to, brown on brown may seem like it's not going to do a heck of a lot, but subtle is quite nice. And this is just a first layer, so I'm not looking at it to be like in your face or in my face. Oops, and I just moved the stencil. Never mind, we'll keep going. Doesn't need to be perfect, just want some of that texture on there. And I'll have to give my stencil a clean off, won't I? Oh yeah, I like that. That's just lovely. And I'm going to change the area of the stencil just so I get a slightly different look. it's not repetitive so much. So don't forget to move your stencil around, hit different areas when you're inking or painting or whatever you're using with your stencil, just to get a different feel. You can even do it upside down, or you can do it back to front, perhaps not with text, but you'll get a more abstract look with text. So why not? There's no rules, people, no rules. You just do whatever looks good to you. Right, I'm going to pop that aside. I will clean it when I'm done. You don't need to watch me clean a stencil, I'm sure. Right, so I think I'm going to go straight in with some of this, and I'm going to use, when I get out the drawer, I'm going to use another distress ink that's aged mahogany that my wonderful friend gave to me, sent to me. So I've got a sponge, different sponge for it. I prefer round sponges for stenciling with, but I don't have any for this, for my new inks. So this will be fine. It just leaves a hard edge sometimes when you get the edge of the sponge in. But you still can totally get a good effect. Just work with what you've got. If you don't have a sponge, you don't need a sponge. You can cut up a kitchen sponge or a bath sponge. You can use a tissue to spread it on with. You can use a makeup brush. I actually want to invest in some makeup brushes for inking, but I just haven't yet. One day I will, when I see a good special. Right, so I'm going with 2 tones of brown. This is a very reddy brown. It's really, really pretty. Cool. Yep, and I think I'm just going to leave that. I may do some more, but I'm going to leave that for now. And let's do something else on it. Let's layer it up with something, because this is our tipping. We've got our stenciling, and we've started to do a vintage feel, but we can do more. Right, pop that aside for now. I haven't got a focal image in mind. But I am wondering about a bird. Let's see if there's a bird that kind of speaks to us of a vintage sort of feel. It's quite a nice bird, but it's maybe a little bit too small. Oh, there's 3 birds. Oops, from bent tail. And too wide, unfortunately. Would have worked if I was doing it this way, which I still could, even though the text is going this way. I still could do something, but no, that wasn't my original plan, so I'm going to stick with it this way. Keep looking. Too small. I don't want bright birds, I don't think. Too wide. I may not find anything here, guys. Oh, he's beautiful, gorgeous, but definitely too wide for this piece, unless I was doing it sideways. It's quite nice, but again, I feel like it's a bit small. Don't want to take too long doing this, but yeah, they're all a bit small, aren't they? I might have to abandon the bird idea. Or can I put multiple birds maybe? Maybe that would be a way around it. If I can get birds that might sort of look like they hang out together, like these two look like they're in the same. That's a different one. That one. No, it's not doing it for me, people. It's not doing it for me. At these two. That's not bad. This one I think it's too colourful. Not quite right. Right, well, let's see what we can do with these two here. Right. So, oops, a bird's running away on my lap. Let's go for some sort of book page here. Want some nice, something nice and vintagey, don't we? Something old looking. I'm sure I've got something suitable. How about this? It's got a nice yellow quality to it. Nice yellowed edge. Take off this blank edge here, take it down to the text. Oops. Give it an interesting little tear there. Okay, we're getting somewhere, but I feel the need to layer some more. Of course I do. Of course I do. It's a bit of a children's book, songbook, or nursery rhyme book actually. It's got music in it. Like that. And this may not actually go in my personal journal. I don't know yet. It'll find a home. It may be in a journal that I make for sale, or it could be in my personal journal, just wherever I need it at the time. Right, let's do some of these numbers or see what they look like. Sorry, I'm completely off camera. Goodness, I need to retrain myself from holiday. Surprising how quickly you can kind of fall out of the way you do things. I'll go the other way because those coloured papers are quite similar. I'm very much playing here, people. Very much playing. Oh, I like that. Yes, that looks good to me. Okay, I'm just going to pop these away so I don't end up with a humongous mess around me. Because you know I will anyway, because that's just how it seems to go. Right, I'm going to go ahead and I think ink around these just to get more of that vintagey vibe going. Coffee dyed fabric would be really nice as well, adding a strip or a piece, or collaging up. You could also go vintage images from an encyclopedia or an old magazine or something. There's lots and lots of ways you can inject that vintage sort of vibe, and you don't need to go completely vintage. You could just go the vintage image as your focal point, or you could just do vintage type background like this and then put something bright and bold or whatever style you like on top. So yeah, you interpret these prompts however you would like to interpret them. Use them how you want to, and that way you can participate and still be really happy with what you make. Right, let's get this down. Sorry, just reaching over for my glue stick. I did not a lot of crafting while I was away on holiday actually. I did a little bit of collage in my collage retrospective collage calendar, and I harvested some magazines and I did some digital art, and that was about it really. We had planned to go to the hot pools almost every day, but we actually only went once because it was very, very, very wet, and it's not as nice sitting in the pools with rain dripping into your face or pelting you from above as it would have been in, you know, on many occasions, particularly on Tuesday. And then we thought about going yesterday. We'd planned to go yesterday, but it was still cold and there was still rain on and off. And I know from experience that going from pool to pool and in and out of the cold, you know, cold weather into a hot pool and in and out like that, I tend to develop a head cold. And I don't want a head cold. I've got way too much to do. So we decided we'd just keep quiet, and we did a bit of shopping and went out for breakfast, and it was really lovely and relaxing without running the risk of getting sick. So yeah, so we only went to the pools once, and that was fine. Like, it was really nice. We did it, we enjoyed it, and we didn't get sick. So right, I think I'll put you guys up there. I'm going to give you a little bit of a... So my focal image here is not vintage. It's modern. It's a watercolor image out of a bird guide book. But I've got my vintage elements in the background. Please excuse me, I've got a tickle in my throat. So this is an example of, you know, you don't have to do the whole thing in vintage style. You can just do a part of it vintage or an aspect of it in a vintage style. And just using a vintage photo or another brown ink might be as vintage as you want to go. And that is all good too. Yes, nice birdies. They're probably still a little small, but I'm going to go with it. Just because I felt like in the mood for birds. Oops, I think my glue page is already getting super sticky. Because it was the one I was using before I went away, so it's got lots of layers of glue on it. So there's my birdies. Definitely want something else on there. So these apothecary labels from Printables by Marty Joe on Etsy have got a really nice vintage sort of vibe to them. So what sort of... something like that. I think that one's good. So again, we'll ink it up. And I'm just wondering about going back in over the top with some more stenciling, just to give that layered depth going on. Where do I want it? Kind of like it right in the middle actually. Or no, I like it over there. But not too close because we're going to have washi tape down there, remember? Okay. Yep, so in that position, but not too close to the edge. Otherwise it will just get covered up. So about there I think should be fine. Looking good so far, but I want to add more. So, you know, we're going to go numbers. And I'm thinking a word as well, would you know it? I'm sure you're thinking that I was going to do that, because it's so often what I do. Right, I'm going to go with you down there. That was a quick decision, wasn't it? This is a number I've stamped on brown paper, and it's brown paper bag, and it was stamped in, I think, coffee colour ink. Coffee or sepia. I think it's the coffee one, but can't say 100% which one it was. So that down there, and I'm thinking word up here. So let's grab out words and see what we can find that we might like. We could go vertical, sweet or kind, maybe a bit big. It's on the same brown as what I've used for the base, and I think it might just blend in a little bit too much. Make a wish. No, not for this one. Happiness. That one didn't stamp particularly well. Let's see what this one looks like. Just says happiness. Yep, let's go with that. Cool. Ink it up first. So I hope you've all had a great week while I've been off holidaying. Hope the videos all helped keep you amused or inspired maybe. It'd be great if it kept you inspired. I'd love that. It'd be super awesome. Okay, do I want to do any more stenciling? Do I want to perhaps add some of this? I think I do, because I just think it's going to be fun. So I think I'm going to use the mahogany again, just to make it stand out a little bit from everything else. And you don't have to do this much use of a stencil, but I'm kind of like, why not? And I didn't put my piece of paper back down, so I may have to clean up some ink off my mat. Right, I need my paper. Excuse me reaching. Let's put it under before I do any more. Oh yes, I do like that. There's this little sort of design up here. Maybe I'll put that somewhere. Up on the edge here. Can be a challenge sometimes to get just the bit that you want. Oops, that didn't come out very dark, but that's okay. And I think I'll put another down here as well. And this will come out very dark because I just re-inked the sponge. And I think 3, so let's put a little bit on the edge here. Oh yes, I'm really liking that. Really, really liking it. Do we want anything else while we're at it? Got this cool cool border bit. But for this, I'm thinking we'll go back to the vintage photo. Put a bit of this border around. And maybe down in this corner as well. So it'll be going a different direction. The short bit's going up, whereas the long bit was going down on the first one. It's part of varying your stencil and how you position it. I could have turned it over and used the other side to still get the long bit going up and the short bit across, but I like that difference. And you know what, I'm just going to do it on all four corners because I can, and because I think it will look cool. And some of this will be covered by washi tape, that's fine, but I think some of it will show it out from under it. So oops, that was very, very crooked. Good thing it's going to be hidden under the washi tape, isn't it? Okay, now if I do the long bit here, it is actually going to run into that, so I'm going to turn it over and use the other side and get the long bit going down, and the two short sections will be at the top. Cool. I'm really liking that. I don't normally layer stencils up quite so much, but today I just felt like in the mood for a play, and I really, really like it. I think it's cool. Right, move that out so you can perhaps see it a little bit better. Move stuff out the way. A bit of a clean up, a little sip of my cup of tea. And there we go. There is my tip-in in a vintage style. And what was the third thing? Stencils. Gosh, my brain. I need to switch my brain on. Somebody send me a brain activation kit, would you please? So here we are, page in my journal, and this is a shorter page, so this is where, because I took it down a bit shorter, it will still fit on that page fine. And I can put some washi tape in here, which is my go-to. I usually use washi tape because it's easy and quick, and that's my tip-in. And I could change my mind and I could do it at the top. It would still work perfectly well, and because I've stenciled down the side, it's not plain. Or I could do it from the bottom if I wanted, and same thing, although I do have this number, but it wouldn't matter if I went over it a little bit. So lots of options, and I've still actually got a little bit of room. I'd have to be careful, but I still do have room if I wanted to hinge it on this side, to tip it in on that way. So when you're designing a tip-in and you haven't got a place for it, you're just going to add it to your ephemera stash. Do keep in mind which way you would like to tip it in, or if you want to remain open with the options, then make sure you've got all the sides with some detail on, but not detail that you care about covering up for whichever way you decide to tip it in. So just a little handy tip there. And I hope you enjoyed my first video back, even though I was a bit sort of like brain dead. I think my brain's still on holiday. It will catch up eventually. So thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoy this, and I will see you back for the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye.